Okay, now let's see. Today we've got the question how to make good decisions, right? How to make good decisions. Of course, I think you realize that life is complicated nowadays, very complicated. There are so many products and services and television and radio information and organizations and experts to consider before you make a choice. And every day we make choices, small ones, big ones, important ones, life changing decisions. So, therefore, it is just a smart thing to know how to make good professional decisions. And that could indeed save you a lot of pain, a lot of trouble, a lot of money, if you know what set of criteria to apply to make decisions, okay? And what thinking steps you should follow to come to the point where you make the decision. The Chinese word for problem means either opportunity or danger. And it is so applicable to our making good decisions. Is if you make a good choice, it is a new opportunity that it opens in your life. If you make a poor choice, it can be a very dangerous thing that's coming into your life. Especially if we make poor choices, like, the wrong job, the wrong marriage, the wrong money investment. If that is a poor choice that we made in those cases, then obviously the long-term effects of that choice could be really, really, really devastating, which will lower your quality of life, limit your quality of life tremendously. You will not be happy, for one, you will not be happy. So, making choices is simply a very important topic. And that's why I've chosen it, to talk about it. I've made a lot of mistakes, a lot of wrong choices in my life. And I hope that if you listen to this, then maybe I could help you to make less serious mistakes in your life, right? Okay, but let me warn you, this is a relatively long topic. So for today, I'm gonna do the normal 8 minutes or so as a part one. Then we continue with a part two, and then we continue with a part three. So we can't give you all the steps, all the clarifications in one session. It will at least take three. And if you come at the end of the third one and you would like this notes of this video, the context, the text that I've written, then you can just email me. I will repeat it by the third one. You can email me after the third video on making good decisions and just request me to send you the text of the three parts is one document, okay? And then I'll send it to you. If you really want it, you think you can use it, it can be very helpful for you, you email me and I'll send you the text. So for now, relax and listen and enjoy some of the introductory remarks about good decision making. Right. Now, the one thing is we got to understand the advantages of good problem solving and decision making, because the two things are linked. It is actually one process, but I'll explain that just now. Let's look at the advantages. That should be a motivator for you to understand the importance of the decision making, and linked to that is the problem solving process. Firstly, if you have the good problem solving and decision making skills, it gives you confidence, you know. You don't panic if you come to a big decision and you are under pressure, and then you don't panic because you know, I've got a process. It's a scientific process. And if I use this scientific process, the results should be positive. I don't have to worry about every decision I gotta make. You know, I know there's a lot of people who fear making decisions and solving problems. It's just a fearful thing for them. So secondly, a second advantage in the business world, in the political world, effective problem solving and decision making is obviously very important to ensure efficient leadership and management and quality products and services, right? And I think between you and me, oh boy, let's not mention names of countries, but the world is in trouble. If it comes to political decision making, then it's a sad situation. I think so many people feel life is falling apart because the decisions that politicians make, that governments make, are simply just going haywire at the moment. Now, let's leave that there, okay? You know what I mean. All right, the third advantage is having the skills to make good decisions will spare you much emotional pain, lots of money, and promote your happiness. Now, if that's not good enough motivations for you to pay attention, then I don't know. All right, next one. We've got 4 approaches to problem solving and decision making. Again, the 2 are linked, problem solving and decision making, and I'm going to clarify it right now. But the 4 approaches is firstly this. We've got a spiritual gift that we call intuition. That intuition is actually our spiritual dimension warning us, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that. But of course, unfortunately, most of us ignore the intuition because we don't think it's important and we don't realize it's not coming from us. It's coming from the Creator that made us, who put it in us, and we call it intuition. He calls it the Holy Spirit. And we should listen to that intuition. It's trying to warn us not to do the wrong thing. All right, a second one is the rational approach that we could use to make decisions. Now, typically, left brain dominant thinkers use this rational approach, gathering all the facts, interpreting all the facts to make a logical, a critical, and a creative reasoning process and look at the pros and the cons to decide how will we solve this problem. There is a third process, that is the irrational process. Now, the irrational problem solving or decision making involves this, that it is typically right brain thinkers that is focusing on the fight, the flight, and the love feelings in their subconscious to approach a problem. And they are typically also listening to friends and groups, support groups or whatever, and they get this advice from outside and depending on their feelings. And in the end, they get the big picture, but they don't focus on the detailed facts on which one should make sound scientific conclusions and solve your problems. There are variations of this irrational approach. Listen to this one. There are about 3 of them. I'm just going to mention maybe one. The irrational approach, one version is the ostrich approach. That's typical where people responsible for solving the problems buries their heads in the ground. That means they ignore the problem and hope it goes away. Secondly, there's the headless chicken irrational approach, where the person who should solve the problem rush back and forth in a senseless, fruitless manner and don't really get the facts and analyze what should I do to solve the problem. Then there's the scapegoat version, where typical supervisors ignore the facts of the situation He's only looking for the guilty party to blame and to punish. And that's the scapegoat approach to problem solving. Now, let's see, at least today, let's give you an idea what the steps of problem solving and decision making is involving. It is like this. Firstly, we are supposed to recognize and describe the problem, okay? That sounds logical, isn't it? You got to recognize the problem and then you got to describe the exact problem. Because if you've got the wrong problem or the peripheral problem and it's not the real core of the problem, your solution will be wrong. Secondly, once you've got the problem right, you identify the exact problem. You look at the causes of the problem, right? Then you generate solutions based on what the causes are, right? Then fourthly, now you must decide which one of the 2 or the 3 or the 6 solutions that you have generated for solving the problem is the best solution, okay? And fifthly, once you have decided on the best option, you gotta have an implementation system in place. And the final 6th step is you gotta evaluate the implementation results to determine was the solution wrong or was the implementation at fault that the problem wasn't solved properly. Okay, so now here is the final piece for today. The link between problem solving and decision making. Remember, it's one process, but it has 2 phases. Now, these 2 phases got 3 steps each. The first step is the problem solving phase. The 3 steps are what I just mentioned. Step 1, recognize, describe the problem, determine what caused the problem, and thirdly, generate solutions for the problem. More than 1, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's the problem solving part. Can you see that? Describe the problem. Get the cause of the problem. But when you get to the point, now I've generated solutions for the problem, then the decision-making phase starts. So step 4, 5, and 6 is actually the decision-making phase, and step 5 and 6 is actually then the implementation of the decision and checking whether it was good. So keep that in mind. That's what's coming up in the next video, where we will look at what these phases are typically entailing, and what to think and what questions to ask and so on. All right, so for today, that's all we can do. Remember, don't panic. There's a video 2 and 3 that's coming, and by the end of 3, you can email me and say you would like to see the text for these 3 videos, and I'll send it to you. But for today, goodbye and good thinking.